His hands are stained with the blood of more than 1,000 Iranians.
Iran's in big trouble. It looks to me that the people are taking over certain cities that nobody thought were really possible just a few weeks ago.
It will absolutely not tolerate serving foreign interests or agendas, no matter who you truly are. If you become a mercenary for foreign powers, if you actively work for outsiders against the very nation itself, then there will be severe consequences.
If they start killing people like they have in the past, we will get involved. We'll be hitting them very hard where it hurts. And that doesn't mean boots on the ground, but it means hitting them very, very hard.
Nationwide protests rocked Iran over the Islamic Republic's economic downswing and the collapse of its currency. Demonstrations erupted in two major downtown Tehran markets after Iran's rial fell to a record low of 1.42 million per US dollar, intensifying inflation and driving up the cost of food and other everyday essentials. Although early demonstrations centered on soaring food prices and the nation's extremely high inflation, protests have increasingly shifted to openly calling for the toppling of the government. Iran's adversary, Israel's close ally, the US, has promised to intervene and turn into a savior for Iranians, taking to the streets. With internet access disrupted across Iran and phone networks largely shut down, it has become increasingly challenging to assess the scale of demonstrations from outside the country. However, reports from the US-based human rights activists news agency indicate that at least 65 people have been killed during the protests and more than 2,300 others arrested. The US has been closely monitoring the ongoing developments in the Islamic Republic. Asked whether the US would intervene in Iran as the Khamenei regime vowed a crackdown on protesters supporting a foreign agenda, Trump stood his ground and said, "If they start shooting the protesters, the US will intervene and will hit where it hurts the most." Was he hinting at Khamenei? Only time will tell. But nothing is impossible under Trump's regime.
How long do you think the Ayatollah will be in power after what we've seen play out on the ground there? When is the U.S. going to get involved now that reports of protesters being killed on the ground?
So Iran's in big trouble. It looks to me that the people are taking over certain cities that nobody thought were really possible just a few weeks ago. We're watching the situation very carefully. I've made the statement very strongly that if they start killing people like they have in the past, we will get involved. We'll be hitting them very hard where it hurts. And that doesn't mean boots on the ground, but it means hitting them very, very hard where it hurts. So we don't want that to happen. There have been cases like this where President Obama totally backed down. But this is something pretty incredible that's happening in Iran. It's an amazing thing to watch. They've done a bad job. They've treated their people very badly, and now they're being paid back. So let's see what happens. We're watching it. We're watching it very closely.
Earlier, the U.S. president on January 2nd also cautioned Iran's leadership against using lethal force on peaceful demonstrators, saying the United States would come to their rescue. In a short social media post, he added that Washington was locked and loaded and ready to go, without offering further explanation. Trump's comments came just after Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei asked Trump to focus on his own country on January 9th. The 86-year-old leader declared that the Islamic Republic would not retreat in the face of protests. He warned that actions serving foreign powers would not be tolerated, hinting at a major crackdown on protesters.
They were actively engaged in widespread destruction, causing immense damage and chaos. solely for the purpose of appeasing and gratifying the individual who held the highest position in American foreign affairs. This was because this prominent figure had previously uttered a completely unfounded and utterly irrelevant statement declaring that if the Iranian government were to undertake specific actions or policies, he would personally intervene and provide unwavering support to certain factions or outcomes, thereby inciting these destructive behaviors. These disruptive rioters and genuinely harmful individuals, just because these disruptive rioters and truly harmful people within the country, their fervent hopes are entirely pinned on him. If he is indeed capable, then he should absolutely be allowed to fix his very own country. In his own country, there are so many significant incidents and pressing problems constantly happening, causing widespread concern. His hands are stained with the blood of more than 1,000 Iranians. In the 12-day war, over 1,000 of our compatriots, aside from commanders, scientists, and prominent figures, ordinary people were martyred. This person said, "I gave the orders I commanded during the war." After a period of intense internal deliberation and the undeniable weight of his conscience, he ultimately decided to reveal the truth. With a sense of profound relief and a quiet yet firm resolve, he confessed himself fully and without reservation, acknowledging his involvement in the matter. This significant admission marked a turning point as he laid bare the details of his actions and the circumstances that led to them, finally unburdening himself of the secrets he had carried. Everyone should know and fully understand that the Islamic Republic, a truly sovereign and independent nation, came to power through the immense sacrifice and precious blood of several 100,000 honorable, courageous, and dedicated people. And it will absolutely not back down or yield in the face of those who threaten the very existence and foundational principles of the Islamic Republic. It will absolutely not tolerate serving foreign interests or agendas, no matter who you truly are. If you become a mercenary for foreign powers, if you actively work for outsiders against the very nation itself, then there will be severe consequences. It does not tolerate serving foreign interests, no matter who you are. If you become a mercenary for foreigners, if you work for outsiders, the nation rejects you, and the Islamic system also rejects you. This applies to those people, that guy. Consider the individual who sits there so arrogantly and with such profound pride, constantly passing harsh judgment upon the entire world, without any true understanding or empathy. That guy who sits there arrogantly and pridefully passing judgment on the whole world, he should also know that usually the world's tyrants and oppressors like Pharaoh, Nimrod, Reza Khan, and all the Rezas and their ilk, when they were at the height of their arrogance, they were overthrown.
In the meantime, Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, warned the U.S. in a loud and clear message that Iran does not seek war with Israel or the United States, but will respond if attacked again.
We are fully and completely prepared for any conceivable situation at all times.
We
do not just seek war.
But we, however, do indeed.
We are truly ready for it. However, we are truly always ready for negotiations.
However, we are indeed fully prepared and ready for comprehensive negotiations regarding this matter.
However, the negotiations we are referring to must be based on mutual respect and on the basis of mutual interests.
Protests spreading throughout Iran approached their second week on January 10th, with the Islamic Republic still largely isolated from the outside world, as an exiled figure rose with ambitions of becoming a messiah for the Iranian people. After spending nearly 5 decades in exile, Iran's crown prince, Reza Pahlavi, is seeking to reestablish himself as an influential figure in shaping the nation's future. On the night of January 8th, Iranian authorities shut down internet access and blocked international phone calls as a protest organized by exiled Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi prompted large crowds to shout from their windows and pour into the streets. On January 7th, he even urged Iran's security forces to side with the people and called for more protests as unrest over economic hardship continues.
Fellow countrymen, over the past few days I have closely followed your protests and marches, especially today in the Tehran bazaar. Despite the regime's repression, your perseverance is admirable, and you have surely noticed that the crowd's density forces the security forces to retreat and increases the likelihood of defections to your side. Therefore, it is important to maintain this discipline and breadth. Today, I am sharing my first call to action with you, and I invite you all to start chanting slogans this Thursday and Friday, the 18th and 19th of day, at exactly 8 p.m., whether in the streets or even from your own homes. As a result of the feedback from these actions, I will announce the next calls to action to you.
He also urged Trump to pay attention to the matter and called on the U.S. to take action. In his latest appeal, Reza Pahlavi urged Iranians to seize and hold city centers and called on workers in key sectors to launch a nationwide strike.
Dear Khamenei, your courage and resilience have earned the admiration of people around the world. Your renewed and magnificent presence in the streets across Iran on Friday night was a resounding response to the threats of the treacherous and criminal leader of the Islamic Republic. I am certain that he has seen these images from Bakhtiari and has trembled with fear. Now, with your decisive response to the first call, I am confident that by making our street presence more purposeful and simultaneously cutting off financial lifelines, we will completely bring the Islamic Republic and its worn-out, fragile apparatus of repression to its knees. In this regard, I call on workers and employees in key sectors of the economy, especially transportation, oil, gas, and energy, to begin a nationwide strike. I also ask all of you to come out into the streets today and tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, the 20th and 21st of day, this time from 6 in the evening, with flags, pictures, and national symbols, and reclaim public spaces as your own. Our goal is no longer just to come out into the streets. The primary and overarching goal is to meticulously prepare to effectively take over the vital city centers and to firmly hold them. To comprehensively achieve this crucial objective, it is imperative to strategically move toward the more central and densely populated parts of the cities from as many diverse and distinct routes as humanly possible, and to efficiently connect separate groups together. At precisely the same time, it is essential to immediately start preparing now, to steadfastly stay in the streets and to diligently gather all the necessary and vital supplies. I say this to the youth of Iran's Eternal Guard and to all armed and security forces who have joined the National Cooperation Platform. Disrupt and slow down the machinery of repression even more, so that on the appointed day we can completely disable it. I am also preparing to return to the homeland, so that I can stand beside you, the great people of Iran, at the time of our national revolution's victory. I believe that day is very near. The future, Iran.